I bought several acres as soon as I could afford it. Back then it was part of a ranch surrounded by other ranches. The owner needed money, so he parceled out this section and sold it to me. I built a small house on it and have lived in it ever since. Since it was originally part of a ranch, I did enough to legally keep it classified as a ranch, so the property tax is extremely low. Over the years, companies started to move to the neighboring big city and land prices started to go up. Almost all of the ranchers sold their lands to developers, so now there are huge houses surrounding mine. They start from 500,000 and go to several million. None of them sit on even an acre of land. My house is clearly the worst house around, and I have no doubt it's bringing the value of nearby houses down. That all happened before I met and dated my fiancé. Now that we're engaged, we're talking seriously about our finances, and the only sticking point is the house. She wants her name on the deed once we're married because we'll be sharing our lives. Alternatively, she wants me to sell the house and we purchase a house together. I don't find either option attractive. In our state, whatever we bring to the marriage we take out. Since I will be bringing the house into the marriage, I can leave with it should things not work out. If I put her name on it, then she'll get half. If I sell the house, there's no way I'll be able to afford anything that's even close to what I have now. Not to mention our property tax will be several times higher. Then there's the drive time. My house is 30 minutes away from my work and 40 from hers. House prices have gone up so much that we'll have to move at least an hour away from our jobs. Like I said, we agreed with or compromised on everything else. This one issue is the only sticking point, and it's becoming a big one. So much so that she brought her family into it. This weekend her father took me out to dinner to have a man-to-man talk. He told me that if we're going to join our lives, we have to join everything. He expects me to do the right thing if I want to join their family. So now it's her entire family on one side and me by myself on the other. Am I wrong to want to keep the house I built by myself to myself? Edit 1 to answer a good question. Neither of us are rich. I bought the land at a very low price, but now it's worth 10 times as much. Even if I offer to sell half of it to her at its current value, there's no way she can afford it. That's why if we buy a house together, we'll have to move far from here and our jobs in order to get one we can both afford. Edit 2 to answer some common questions. In all, I spent about $200,000 to buy the land and build the house. Everything is paid off and I pay extremely low taxes every year. The tax assessment on my property is about $2 million. I don't know anything about refinancing, but at our salary level, I highly doubt we would qualify. In fact, we've spoken to a real estate agent, and with a 20% down, our salary qualifies us for a $300,000 house. The property tax on a $300,000 house is many times the current tax I pay now. I'm comfortable with us living in my house and paying all the taxes and maintenance by myself. Edit 3 to answer a common question. Many are asking about my compromise and pointing out her lack of financial security. My compromise is that we live in my house and I will pay all of the taxes, bills, and maintenance costs. Based on our conversation with the real estate agent, if we buy a $300,000 house, her half of the mortgage would be about $1,300, not including her half of the property tax and down payment. I pointed out to her that if I pay for everything toward my current house, she would be saving at least $15,600 a year over 30 years on the mortgage alone. That doesn't include the money she would be saving not paying the down payment and property tax. In my mind, that would give her plenty of financial freedom and security. Also, if I sell the land, I don't want to buy any new house outright with that money. The reason we went to see a real estate agent is that if we buy a house together, I want it to be something we can both afford, mortgage, down payment, taxes divided equally. I would put any money I make off the sale into my retirement account. That's the main reason why I haven't sold my land despite many developers begging me to. Yes, some actually begged. I view it as my retirement investment. Whatever you do, do not put her name on your house. Do not sell your house. Dude, divorce is all too common. You can't count on your marriage lasting forever in today's day and age. Keep your house in your name only. Just rent it out and use that money to buy one together if you really want to. I'm gonna be honest with you, if you put her name on your house, you will regret it for the rest of your days. She and her entire family smell like gold diggers. I think you should run for the hills right now. Do not marry this woman. She is already bringing in her family needlessly instead of just keeping things between the two of you. Red flags are waving. Don't be blind. Story 2. My wife cheated on me with a work colleague. Posted by Reddit user She Cheated and Broken. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. My wife has had both a physical and emotional affair with a married work colleague since early March. The partner lives nearby. We've been together for nearly 18 years. 2 amazing kids, great house and jobs, supportive family, no major issues. D-Day was the 4th of September. I'd been a bit suspicious of some behavioral changes such as increased alcohol consumption And phone use, gym membership for the first time in years, lots of new outfits, etc. So right or wrong, I looked at her phone and I'm glad I did. She was hiding 10 months of WhatsApp chat by keeping it in her archived section to avoid notifications. A fair partner pursued her from November and it seems she was flattered by the attention. She deleted call records, but St. PDLY kept every message they had exchanged. In some ways I think she wanted to get caught. I exported the entire chat that night as evidence and got all the juicy details. How they video call to chat and get each other off. How in the office they sneak into the disabled toilet to FCK. Feel ups in meeting rooms. A hookup on a business trip in a hotel. How they love and dream about each other. How they wish they'd found each other before they both settled and had kids, etc. She spoke to him about the things we were doing as a family and what my children were up to. The level of detail I've had has completely messed me up. I decided what I wanted to say to her, then confronted her the next day. First I asked if there was anything she wanted to tell me. She figured I'd seen a message on her phone but didn't know the extent of it. She looked me square in the eye and lied to my face, telling me there was someone she had grown close to at work, but nothing had happened. After 20 to 30 minutes of fishing for the truth, I had to bring out the evidence and reel off a few quotes. Then it hit her, I knew it all. She was so sorry, didn't want to hurt me, scared she'd lose her career, and how our kids would be impacted financially, what her friends and family would think, that I would tell affair partners, wife, etc. My initial reaction was they had to go no contact with him, resigning the next day with no notice, period, if she had any interest in salvaging our family. She begged that wasn't possible, that it would look odd and raise questions, that she needed handover notes from him as he was the only one who knew how to use a particular work system, that I couldn't tell his wife because she could get her sacked for revenge, etc. I sent PDLY conceded on the points raised for nearly 3 weeks, giving him time to find another job. It's been excruciating and I feel if she was finally putting me first she would have found a way for him to go right away. They've stopped all personal messages and calls since and are making sure time in the office together is limited. A fair partner is leaving the job very soon. She says she wants to work through this with me but then she would because I've got her over a barrel. I haven't spoken to a divorce lawyer yet but given the complexity of the situation I realize now is probably the right time. As far as I was aware our relationship was pretty solid. We laugh and joke, have fun, rarely argue, etc. Yes, communication could be better but that's typical of lots of relationships. For years I'd always had a higher drive than her which at times has caused disagreements, due to the frustration of all the chasing being one way. But it wasn't a deal breaker for me as I loved her to death as my wife, and the mother of our children. Clearly I was just doing something wrong because she couldn't get enough of this guy and was doing things with him she wouldn't entertain with me. I think she has some major issues to work through to justify in her head that all this was okay so long as no one knew or got hurt. Oh my god, I've been a mess and signed off work for 2 weeks. Insomnia, anxiety, increased heart rate, not being able to think about anything else, etc. I'm traumatized but have now started individual therapy as of last Thursday, which is a positive step. The plan is for her to do the same as well as couples therapy to understand the how and why this happened even if we can't stay together. My confidence and self-esteem were already a bit dented due to other issues such as my weight increase since COVID, but this has knocked me to a new low. I'm broken but have been coping by eating better and doing couch to 5K and getting fitter for both myself and my kids. My ability to trust another human being with anything meaningful evaporated that day. I could never foresee this scenario. I didn't think she was capable of this level of evil, secrets, and lies. I feel I gave up a lot for her, such as having children. Wouldn't change it now, but wasn't something I was sure of even into my late 20s. Choice of house location when we moved, majority control of our finances, etc. I put her on a pedestal and think she mistook this as a sign of weakness on my part. I now see narcissistic traits in her that perhaps I turned a blind eye to previously. Other than speaking to a mate and the therapist, I've bottled this for 3 weeks. She says she's awoken from a dream or fantasy land and would take it all back if she could. I don't trust a word she says. If we're going to try to work through this there will be a list of rules that must be followed. For example, I feel her telling our families what's happened would be an action showing she's ready to take some responsibility over all this. I'd then be able to have a wider support network to deal with this. Everyone thinks so highly of her that this will bring her down to earth with a bump. She thought she was untouchable and isn't. One minute I love her and the next I hate her. I don't understand how she could do this to me or our children. I think it's taught me that anyone can be unfaithful given the perfect storm of circumstance. Infidelity FC King SKS. Don't cheat on your partner, instead talk to them regularly about your relationship, both the good and the bad. Always explore what you can do better. I hope you're never in my shoes, and my sympathies are with anyone who has to go through this. Any help and advice in dealing with all of this is appreciated. Update 1. Thank you to anyone that has commented so far. A few things I can clarify. I suffered from insane jealousy and hysterical bonding upon first learning of all this. It's since cooled. We haven't had but have been back in the same bed, and I realized that was way too soon and gives totally the wrong impression of what my boundaries are right now. I've had unrestricted access to her phone since D-Day and will set up to find my iPhone tonight. She's already agreed to this. She has already agreed to both individual and couples therapy. The sooner her individual counseling starts, the better. She seems genuinely remorseful, and I may not have conveyed this well enough with the original post. Repeated I'm sorry, lots of crying, upset at how much pain she has caused me, etc. Whilst I don't want to give my kids ages, I will say both are under 7 and 1 is at school. They know nothing of what's gone on. I don't see the need to traumatize them with this right now. Telling them when they are old enough to understand is an option. With an affair partner was unprotected twice, though I can't be sure it wasn't more often than I'm being told. She had an STI and STD test last week, waiting on result which she is going to show me. She states in the chat to affair partner early on this was the first time she ever strayed. Whilst of course I can't be sure, I do think this is likely the case. I agree with the general consensus she is yet to face any repercussions such as telling our family or affair partner's wife, and these are a must. For any chance of reconciliation, I am not set on either reconciliation or divorce. I'm open to this going either way, but need to see actions rather than words from her, with me dictating the narrative from here on in. The thing I need for SAP is no contact with an affair partner, and have stressed this to her. She earns double what I do. I don't want her to lose her job via gross misconduct, as it could make employment difficult going forward and directly impacts my children's well-being. Rightly or wrongly, my stance was better. She leaves the job of her own accord once she's found something else and gets him to go to a SAP, which he has agreed to. A date is agreed, but I won't share it here. Update 2. Thanks for all the advice and comments. It's given me some clarity around all of this. Affair partner has given notice to the employer, so moving closer to no contact and making sure I see the evidence of this also. I spoke to her in a calm and concise manner last night, talking about her needing to show accountability and responsibility, actions not words, etc. As she can see, I've removed the emotion from the situation as much as possible. I'm no longer under her spell. It scared her. She can see I'm now taking the lead on things, and she won't have control of what happens next. I am working on my list of musts, and if she's not on board with every request, then there will be no chance of reconciliation. She has already verbally agreed to tell our families in my presence if I want this. We're sleeping in separate beds. I've made it clear to her I need to show her my boundaries right now. If I need to go nuclear, I can and will, but keeping that powder dry for now is 1. Don't want to hurt my kids, and 2, see entry below. I agree telling affair partner's wife must happen, and the news would be best coming from my wife. But doing so right now potentially shoots me in the foot if my wife loses her job due to revenge and then can't pay me child maintenance. We also have an expensive mortgage and could struggle to keep up payments until the house is sold in the scenario of divorce. A post-nup is a good idea. If reconciliation is an option, we'll look into it. We're looking into individual therapy for her as a priority, as both her and I need to understand how she was capable of this regardless of divorce or reconciliation. I think she has some narcissistic qualities, and I'd like her to explore that. I'm keeping all my options open while studying how she responds to what I need to happen. Right now she is showing regret and remorse via emotions and body language rather than just words. I no longer give any validity to the words. Plan to read a couple of the articles and books that have been suggested. Eat my best 5K time today. You weak, spineless, St. PDDM and donut. You little you son of a, I'm going to tear off your and shove them right up your and then on your within the and your, so then you'll have to sideways. Listen here, you idiot. She's not sorry. She's just sorry that she got caught. Why can't you just learn your DMN lesson and move on? It's better for your kids, and it's better for you. Why can't you just tell everyone everything yourself? Not under her spell, my A. She's still playing you like a FC King puppet. Why are you still here?